Hello and welcome to THINKpod, powered by the FII Institute. For more than 30 years, I led Sky News' coverage of global events, holding to account the politicians and change makers shaping the world of today. In this series, filmed at the 6th Future Investment Initiative in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, I've got the opportunity to question those shaping the future. At this inflection point in our history, how can we ensure that the future is one of prosperity and opportunity for all? This episode, we're joined by Anousheh Ansari, the first ever female Muslim space explorer.
When you have this amazing perspective from space, all the little things disappear. It changes the way you look at the world.
As chief executive of the XPrize, she's funding others to reach for the stars, investing in the companies who'll tackle Humanities Grand Challenges. First of all, thank you very much indeed for joining us on THINKpod. Could I ask you to start by introducing yourself?
Of course. My name is Anousheh Ansari. I'm CEO of XPrize Foundation. I'm also a tech entrepreneur and an astronaut.
That's quite a lot.
Yes.
Which comes first these days?
CEO of XPrize Foundation. My pride and joy.
All right, well, let's start with that. Where are you with XPrize?
We are actually at a very important point in our history. We've been around for 28 years now, and we're just stepping into the next phase of XPrize, where we want to grow and scale a model that's been proven in the past 28 years. So we're excited about it. Our mission is to help create a world of abundance, a hopeful world of abundance for everyone on this planet. And we do that with accelerating breakthroughs that solves humanity's biggest challenges in the world. So we're trying to scale that. We've used the tool of incentivized competitions to democratize innovation, to bring people from all around the globe and focus them on solving these problems.
So you define an issue and then...
Yes, we look at different areas, let's say climate and energy or biodiversity or health, and we define a desired future 50 years from now, what the world should look like in health, what the world should look like in terms of energy, and then understand where we are today and what breakthroughs we need to get from where we are today to that desired future. And then we lay a roadmap, scientifically based roadmap, that identifies the innovations and the breakthroughs that's needed to get there. And if they are something that the competition can accelerate, then we design a prize, a very concrete, audacious and measurable prize around it, and then incentivize the world to go build those solutions.
And the winners of the prize, what do they get?
So when the prize is won, they have to demonstrate, first of all. So this is not an ideas competition. They have to actually build the solution and demonstrate that it works based on the criteria set. And then, our prizes
and that's
are
self-funding for them, yeah.
It's non-dilutive capital. Yes, they're all the competitions bring entrepreneurs. They build companies, they build products, and the money that they win becomes seed capital. And they have a prototype. And the next thing for them is to go to market.
So typically, how much would they win?
So our prizes have ranged on the average around $10 to $100 million. So we announced our $100 million competition last year. We have a carbon extraction prize at a gigaton level for $100 million. That was launched on Earth Day last year, and it's a 4-year competition. And once they win the grand prize, which is $50 million. And the other 50 we've been giving out in student grants and in milestone prizes.
And the source of the XPrize's resources is what?
We're a nonprofit organization, so it's based on donations from companies, from individuals, from institutions, and that's why we can make it into a prize.
So I guess that's part of your job, making sure
that is my job. That is fundraising and making sure we have the resources. But it's the best type of philanthropy because I look at it as an investment. Your money, usually when you do a donation, maybe 50 cents on the dollar goes to the cause you're trying to impact. In an XPrize, your dollar brings about $10 to $30 more in investment in solving the problem. So we have a multiplier effect. We're unlike any other type of philanthropy.
What would you point to examples that we might be familiar with from previous winners?
Well, I can talk about the prize that my family and I sponsored, the first competition that launched XPrize, the Ansari XPrize. When we launched it, the prize was announced in late 1990s. It took 10 years for the prize to be won. It was a $10 million prize at a time that no one was thinking about space, to incentivize people to build a spaceship, to go to 100 kilometers, come back, do it again in 2 weeks, to win $10 million, and do it without government funding. We had 26 teams who competed to win the prize, and about $100 million was invested into the teams and spent by the teams to win the $10 million. So that was a 10 times multiplier right there. The winning team was out of Mojave Aerospace, funded by Paul Allen. He funded it to the tune of $30 million. Richard Branson bought the rights of the winning team, created Virgin Galactic. Virgin Galactic went public in 2019. On the average, their market cap was about $6 to $9 billion. And because of all the changes that happened, because we proved that a commercial company can actually go to space, and the policy changes that we pushed for during the 10 years, a whole industry that's worth about, I think yesterday they were talking about $4 trillion. So a $10 million prize created a marketplace now, after 20 years, that's worth $4 trillion. So that's what an XPrize can do.
Which was effectively the start of commercial space, yeah.
Exactly. The cost of access to space have come down significantly. The team at FII that was created to give our team, XPrize teams, launch license became the same group at FII that gives launch licenses to SpaceX today, for example.
And at what point did you get practically involved, physically involved in space?
So my dream since I was 6 years old was to be an astronaut and go to space. But I became an entrepreneur. I studied electrical engineering, computer science, became a tech entrepreneur. But my entrepreneurship gave me the capital to then go and try to find my way to go to space. So XPrize was the first place I invested, which was the prize sponsorship. That was in 2000. And I've been serving on the board of XPrize since then. And then 3 years ago, I became the CEO of the foundation. On the first anniversary of the competition, when we were celebrating in 2004, I was given the opportunity to go and train with the Russians and go to International Space Station on an ISS mission through the Russian Space Agency. So that's what I did, and I flew to International Space Station in 2006.
So what did you do? Tell us about going to the International Space Station. I mean, I know you spent a number of days there, but...
Yes, I spent 11 days in space, 9 of those days on the space station. Life-altering, amazing experience. More than anything else, I think it helped me learn how to focus on the big things. When you have this amazing perspective from space, all the little things disappear. You can see our beautiful planet, the colorful, mostly blue planet that we have.
I mean, what do you see?
You can see about 2/3 out of the windows on the space station, and you orbit the Earth. You're orbiting the Earth. Every 90 minutes you do one orbit. Every 90 minutes you see a sunrise and a sunset.
Yeah.
All those maps that you're taught in the geography courses, where it has these big thick lines dividing us. You don't see them from up there. You just see one planet. You see one human race living on this beautiful home planet, and it changes the way you look at the world. You only take a global perspective on the issues. You look at collaboration, and you understand the interconnectedness of us as human beings and with our planet. When you're orbiting and you see a storm system, cloud formation, a tornado, for example, from up there, and you see it's moving across the whole world, nothing is stopping it. There are no walls. There's nothing, no barrier, no physical barrier. You understand our interconnectedness. So we can look at the problems as it's the problem of this country or that country. it's a global human problem that we need to work on it together to solve it.
I mean, obviously you trained to go there
Yes.
in Russia. So was there something that shocked you, that surprised you when you actually got there?
Well, the training is pretty extensive. So I trained for 9 months in Star City. So we did a lot of simulation. I think the part that wasn't shocking, but it was surprising a little bit, was how the landing was sort of jarring experience. One of the astronauts told me...
The landing on the space station?
No, the landing coming
yeah.
back. Going up, actually, it was very smooth compared to what I imagined. It was better than what I imagined. Yeah. Everything else was better than what I imagined. And then coming back, everyone told me that, it's the hardest part of the, mission. When you're coming down, you're deorbiting, you're coming very fast. It looks like a shooting star almost. If someone watches you, it's like a shooting star. Yeah. And I was seeing the plasma, the flame outside the capsule, and there were pieces coming off, and I was like, are we disintegrating? They're like, no, it's just a heat shield burning in the atmosphere. So it gets very hot. And then once you pass that, the parachute opens. When the parachute opens, because you're going so fast, the capsule gets pulled, and then you're going all over the place. So it's very disorienting. Someone described it as like going over the Niagara Falls in a barrel. And that's how it felt inside, because you're just, tumbling. And finally, after the multiple stages of the parachute, it stabilizes, and then you land on the ground, which, even though there are these thrusters that fire to slow you down, we did not slow down that much. So it really hits the ground very hard. That's what probably
shortened your spine immediately.
Yeah, exactly. I actually had bruises from the belts, the seat belts.
And now it's mostly ground landing, is it, rather than in the water?
The Russian Soyuz lands on the ground in Kazakhstan, actually. The Apollo program and the capsules from SpaceX land in the ocean, which I think is smoother. I don't know. I haven't had that experience. I don't have any point to compare to.
Do you think it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for you, or is it something you'd like to go back to space?
I would love to go back. It was an amazing experience. And I think I was born to just live in space. Maybe I was an alien some other life. I don't know. But I felt at home. Live in
one of those pods in space somewhere.
I don't mind living in a pod in space. I grew up watching Star Trek. Yeah. So I always wanted to be on board.
They don't live in pods. They've got...
it was much more luxurious.
They've got oxygen everywhere they go. Yeah.
They had the Starship Enterprise that took them all over the place. So I wanted to be a science officer. I wanted to be Mrs. Spock on Star Trek, but I don't think that will happen in my lifetime. But nevertheless, I think exploring space is an incredible opportunity to learn about ourselves.
I mean, now, where do you think space is going? I mean, are you still investing in space projects?
I am super excited to see how many activities are happening. There's so many venture funds investing in space economy, in lunar economy. There's a word called lunar economy, believe it or not. That, to me, it's a win because that mind shift has happened. So we're not going back anymore. And I see a lot of opportunity, business opportunities for Earth orbit. We're already seeing so many companies taking advantage of remote sensing and Earth observation and giving us an opportunity to learn more about our climate change and atmospheric change, prediction of the weather, earthquakes, natural disasters, helping with agriculture. So there's so many business already created. But there's even more. I think there's opportunity for us to move some of our manufacturing to orbit to lessen the impact on our environment here, and also access the resources in space in terms of energy and material that we can bring back and again create a better environment for ourselves here on Earth. So I think near-term opportunities in that area. And then later on, taking all of that I said also exists on the surface of the moon and a launching pad to go to Mars for us.
And longer distance space travel, sort of out of Earth orbit, where do you think that's heading? I mean, do you think you'll live to see people on Mars?
I do. I believe that in my lifetime, we will land on the surface of Mars and we will because it's such a long way to go, that we will establish a permanent base there. I think potentially the first trip to Mars may be a one-way trip. There's still a lot of factors we need to come up with innovations around, like how to make humans more resilient on this type of trip, because it's such a long trip. And there's this cross section of CRISPR technology and medical technology advancing, where I think perhaps we will have to do genetic modifications or human augmentation for long duration space missions that will be coming.
How was it for you becoming a role model, the first Iranian in space?
It's wonderful because it gives me an opportunity to get my voice and opinions heard. I would have done it if I was the millionth person to go to space, because it wasn't about being first. It was more about the experience that I had. But being first has given me an opportunity to be on this podcast with you and tell you about my experience and talk about what I believe is important for humanity.
And for you, what does the next decade hold? What are your ambitions, your hopes?
I have dedicated my time to take XPrize to this next chapter, to make sure that it's here for the long term, and that we focus our energy and our platform in solving some of the big problems that we have with climate change, with making sure humanity's paths in space keeps growing and being cleared, to preserve the biodiversity of this world and bring access to health, learning, and basic needs of humanity to everyone, not just the lucky nations who have the means to do it. But basically, the world of abundance that we talk about is not a world of luxury. It's a world of abundance in everything, so people can ultimately pursue what they want, because they don't have to worry about putting food on the table, or making sure that there is light so their children can study, or making sure that their children can go to college and have a way to build a good life for themselves. So a hopeful future.
Possibly back to space?
I hope so. If you know someone looking for an astronaut, I'm in.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
In these turbulent times, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Thinkpod for more insight and analysis.